In this video, we're going to start from an empty Unity project and build an RPG with dynamic NPC dialogue using generative AI.
Good day, adventurer. I seek your aid in earning enough gold to win the heart of the elusive Lenore. Will you lend me your skills?
Who is Lenore?
Lenore is a fair maiden who resides in Moonbright. I have been courting her, but alas, she seems uninterested. I believe if I can amass enough gold to impress her, she may finally see me in a different light. Will you help me in this quest?
You can't buy the love of a partner.
You speak wise words, adventurer. Love cannot be bought, but perhaps with enough gold, I can show Lenore my dedication and commitment. Will you still assist me in my endeavor?
As you can see, we're starting in a completely empty Unity project. The first thing we'll do is import the post-processing package because the environment pack that we're using requires it. Next, we'll import the Text Mesh Pro Essentials. And now RPG Builder. Next, we'll import Tidal Flask's Fantastic Village asset pack. We're using the built-in rendering pipeline in this project, so we'll just import that part. Now we'll import Enhance Studio's Stylized Human Male. For lip sync animation, we'll import SALSA LipSync Suite. Now we import the dialogue system for Unity. For AI dialogue, we import the add-on for OpenAI. To set up the Dialogue System's RPG Builder integration, we first need to import two packages. This whole process is covered in the Dialogue System's online manual and in a separate video on RPG Builder integration. The next step will be to configure the integration. First, let's enable the add-on for OpenAI. If the window didn't automatically pop up, you can access it here. Once it's enabled, enter your OpenAI API key and optionally an 11 Labs API key for voice synthesis. Now we'll set up the RPG Builder integration. Create a new empty folder here named Dialogue System NPC Templates. Then inspect the AI asset in the Editor Categories folder. From the Dialogue System Integration folder, add the RPG Builder Editor Dialogue System module to the modules list. Now when you open the RPG Builder window, under AI you should see a Dialogue System section. Let's create a folder named __game for our custom game files. Now navigate to the Integrations Prefabs folder and make a prefab variant of the Dialogue Manager prefab that's in this folder. By making a new variant, we won't accidentally overwrite any customizations we make when we update the integration package. This Dialogue Manager points to some UI prefabs that we're not going to use in this video, but you can customize in your own project if you want to. What we will do is customize the Dialogue UI by making a new prefab variant. Remember to assign the UI to your Dialogue Manager. The next step is to add our Dialogue Manager to RPG Builder's main menu scene. And that's it for setting up the integration, so now let's set up the scene. We'll use the daytime village scene. We installed the post-processing package so we can remove this message. We'll also want to set up the camera as a main camera. I'm not a fan of the color grading in this scene, so let's set that back to defaults. Now let's save our scene and give our village a name. Let's call it Moonbright. And now we need to set it up in RPG Builder. We'll just follow the regular RPG Builder instructions to set up a scene. That's all done in the World section. As a shortcut, I'm just going to duplicate the demo scene's assets and use coordinates and values that I think will produce a decent result. I've already checked the scene, and these coordinates will put us near the entrance to the village. Make sure to save, and then we'll set up the scene info. These coordinates are approximately the center of the village, and I've already prepared a mini-map image that's 1024 by 1024, so we'll enter that here. I don't want to fiddle with the day-night cycle right now, so let's just turn that off. So here's where we'll drop in that mini-map image that I've already prepared. And there we go. Once again, make sure to save. Make sure to save the right scene, too. We want the player to start in the village, so go to the character section. In Start Settings, specify our village, Moonbright. Before we move on, let's give this a test. Add the main menu and Moonbright to our build settings. Then load up the main menu scene and let's give this a try. Alright, here we are in Moonbright. Looks like everything's pretty good except for the camera is missing an audio listener. So let's exit play mode and add that. Okay, let's give that a save and we can finally get to NPCs now. Let's just grab a pre-configured character from Enhance's demo scene. Save it as a new prefab and let's name him Alfric. This character's animator avatar controls the jaw, but we want to give control to SALSA, so we'll have to unassign the jaw from the avatar. So let's work on our character prefab now. RPG Builder creates a parent game object and adds an animator to it, so we should remove the animator from this prefab. Then add a SALSA component for lip sync. The inspector provides handy buttons that you can click to add an audio source and a cue processor. Now we'll set up a viseme, which is a mouth shape that represents a vocalization. You can add more than one viseme to produce more accurate looking lip sync, but for the purposes of this video, we'll just set up one simple one. We'll assign the jawbone and set the max value for this viseme to represent something like an O sound. And alright, that'll do for simple lip sync for now. So let's save this prefab and get the NPC set up in RPG Builder. Let's load up our main scene again and go to the RPG Builder window. Similarly to what we did with the scene, we'll duplicate the human NPC and customize it for our Alfric NPC. Set his name, and then open up the AI settings section. Here we need to set the NPC preset. For that, we'll go to the presets category. Once again, we'll duplicate an existing asset. Then we'll set the name, assign our Alfric prefab, and also the animator avatar. Save that, and then we'll go back to NPCs, assign the prefab, and we also need to remember to tick the Has Dialogue checkbox. Even though we're not going to be using RPG Builder dialog, the integration observes this checkbox. Save, and then go to the dialog section. Create a new entry for Alfric, and tick Has Interaction Conversation. If we don't select a conversation from the drop-down, Alfric will run any dialogue system triggers on him that are set to on use, which is exactly what we want to do in this case because we want to use them for the runtime AI conversation component. Let's also bypass the interaction panel and not pause the game by setting timescale to 0 during the conversation. We'll also want to tell the dialogue UI itself not to pause the game during conversations. Now let's set up Alfric's spawn point. Open up the demo scene. Copy the NPC spawner's game object to the clipboard. We'll paste this into the village as a quick way to set up the spawner. Delete the spawners we don't need and change the merchant spawner to spawn Alfric instead. I've already picked out some coordinates for him, so we'll set those here, and then we'll set the NPC asset at the bottom. So let's go to the main menu and test this out. Alright, so it doesn't look like I got the Y coordinate right, so let's fix that. It looks like about 13 will be good, so let's go to the Moonbright scene and set Alfric's spawner there. And I think that should do it. The next step is to set up all the dialogue system stuff. In the project, create a dialogue database. We'll assign this to our Dialogue Manager prefab variant. Generative dialogue can incorporate information about locations, so let's set up the location first. This will be our description of Moonbright Village. Next, we'll create an actor for Alfric. Generative dialogue can incorporate information from the actor's description field. But the add-on also lets you add additional fields to give deeper context to the dialogue. In the actor template, click Add Knowledge and Goals. Now we can see the actor has knowledge and goals fields, so let's fill those in too. Although we won't set up any other actor NPCs in this video, let's go ahead and set up the actors anyways. We'll give our actors speech synthesis, so select Alfric, and then next to the voice field, click Select. We'll choose a voice actor and then click Preview to see if this is the voice that we want to assign.
Hello, world.
That'll do for Alfric, so click Accept. Then let's go ahead and choose some voices for the other two actors.
Hello, world.
That'll do for Lenore.
Hello, world.
I'm feeling picky for Bjorn.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Hello, world.
Alright, that'll do. We have our Bjorn cast. We have a few more things to set up on Alfric before we set up Runtime AI Dialogue. Add a dialogue actor component and set it to Alfric. This way, the conversation will know to use this game object that has the SALSA component instead of its parent when determining which game object to play the audio on. I'd also like to make a few tweaks to the SALSA component to give it a better range of the lower and upper volumes that it'll be receiving from the speech synthesis audio. We'll set those cutoff values here. I just determined these values through trial and error. I'm no audio expert. And then we'll save our Alfric prefab again. So let's see how this looks. Here's our Alfric NPC, so let's inspect the SALSA component, and we'll do a quick test to make sure that it's controlling the mouth properly. Tick Trigger Display Mode and toggle the O viseme on and off. There, we can see that his mouth is opening and closing. Before we move on, I want to allow the camera to get closer to the NPC's face. To do that, we'll edit the camera controller on the player prefab. I'll reduce min distance to let the camera zoom in closer. Now finally we can set up our generative dialogue. There are 2 steps to this. First, add a runtime AI settings component to the Dialogue UI. Make sure to enter your API keys here, but I won't show that in this video. The 16K model is a good choice to use in general. Set max tokens to a high value, but probably not as high as I'm setting it here. Then we need to set up these extra UI elements. We'll take a shortcut and grab a copy from the runtime demo. Expand the Dialog Manager until you see the Dialog UI elements, and then copy the Text Field UI, Goodbye button, and Wait icon. Then we load up our Dialog UI, switch to 2D mode so that we can see it, and paste them in. We'll replace this old text field UI. And now we assign those new UI elements to the corresponding fields in the Runtime AI Conversation Settings component. I'd like to make the input field a little bit wider, so we'll make that change now. The second of the 2 steps is to add a Runtime AI Conversation component to the NPC. Specify the actor and conversant, which is the player and Alfric, and we'll leave the mode set to freeform text input. The topic is what the conversation will be about. In this case, we'll just have the NPC greet the player. Let's also include location descriptions so the NPC can incorporate background info about Moonbright. And we'll set up a generic reply prompt. And now we set up the dialogue system trigger that the RPG Builder integration will trigger. Set up an onExecute event that calls the Runtime AI Conversation component's play method. And now we save our NPC prefab. At this point, Alfric should be able to play generative AI conversations that generate replies dynamically based on what the player is talking about. But before we give it a try, there are a couple of UI settings that I forgot. Let's change max tokens down to a more reasonable value and also assign the optional audio recording buttons. Then we save this, and I think we're finally ready to try out that AI conversation.
Good day, adventurer. Might you have any tips on how to earn enough gold to impress a certain lady named Lenore?
I'll type in a response here since at the beginning of the video you saw the use of a microphone.
Ah, Lenore is a fair maiden in our village. I've been trying to win her heart, but she seems uninterested. I believe if I could gather enough gold, I might catch her eye. Any advice, adventurer?
And might as well test the mic too. How much gold do you need?
Well, I reckon a sum of 500 gold coins should do the trick. It's quite a hefty sum, but I'm willing to go to great lengths for Lenore's affection. Any ideas on how to amass such wealth, adventurer?
For the clip at the very start of this video, I made a few small tweaks not shown so far. I added more visemes using the recommended viseme list in SALSA's documentation. These are all set up in the same manner as the one shown in the video. I also added Fimpossible's look animator for head look animation. And in the Dialogue UI, I just swapped out a few textures and set up a single microphone button that calls the record button's submit event when the pointer is pressed down on it, and calls the submit recording button's submit event when the pointer is released. Pointer down also activates a copy of the microphone image that's colored red, and pointer up hides it again. So this video has gone from a completely new empty project to an RPG in which you can converse with NPCs using generative AI through the Dialogue System add-on for OpenAI. Thanks for watching.